As of Tuesday the 10th of January 2023, and almost a decade after its release, Windows 8.1 is no longer officially supported by Microsoft. This means that users running any version of Windows 8.1 will no longer receive free security patches through Windows Update. Although it's worth mentioning that the Windows Embedded equivalent of Windows 8.1, Windows Embedded 8.1 Industry, will continue to be supported until the 11th of July 2023. Windows 8.1 was born out of the poor public reception to its predecessor, Windows 8. Negative feedback was primarily aimed at Windows 8's new touch-optimized user interface, colloquially known as Metro, as well as the lack of a Windows Start button and menu, for the first time since the introduction in Windows 95 almost 2 decades earlier. The learning curve of Windows 8 was also criticised, not helped by the lack of instructions provided within the operating system itself on how users could access functions. And whilst a tutorial was included with the operating system, it only instructed users to move their mouse pointer into corners of the screen, or to swipe in from the sides if using a touchscreen, with no clarification or explanation of what exactly this behaviour would or should achieve. Other complaints focused on the seemingly inefficient use of screen real estate, especially on large displays or for mouse and keyboard users, with many actions in Windows 8 requiring more mouse travel and clicks compared to their Windows 7 equivalents. In response to the criticisms aimed at Windows 8, Microsoft released Windows 8.1 as a free update to the operating system on the 27th of August 2013. Its aim was to improve the user experience, especially for mouse and keyboard users. This famously included the reintroduction of the Start button, although the Start menu itself was still missing. Improvements were also made elsewhere in the user interface, such as the reintroduction of window title bars and buttons for mouse and keyboard users. The last major update to Windows 8.1 was the Windows 8.1 update, which arrived on the 8th of April 2014, around a year before the release of Windows 8's successor, Windows 10. On the 12th of January 2016, support for Windows 8 ended, with users required to install Windows 8.1 to continue to receive updates. On the 9th of January 2018, Windows 8.1 moved into what is known as its extended support phase. Since then, it has received no feature updates, and instead only important security updates in accordance with Microsoft's Windows Lifecycle policy. And so, officially at least, the curtain has closed on Windows 8.1, and it's time for the operating system to gracefully retire. Unlike the demise of Windows 7 in 2020, the end of support for Windows 8.1 will affect a much smaller proportion of computer users, with its peak market share of around 13% in June 2015 being far lower than that of Windows 7, which was still running on an estimated 25% of desktop computers even at the time of its end of support in January 2020. However, for those of us who have used Windows 8.1, it has served us well over the last decade. So goodbye Windows 8.1, and thanks for the memories.